All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another brand new episode of the Assassination podcast with only two of your favorite co-hosts in the entire world. Bradley's out of town, so he'll join us on the next one. So shout out Bradley boy. He's out of town. He's doing his thing. We'll see
Yeah.
him here very soon. But it's, of course, myself, Eduardo, and my boy here in the virtual studio, Verticus Maximus, a.k.a. the White Rhinoceros, baby. Welcome back. Welcome back. And
Ow!
hello,
Beyond
everybody.
expectation is in the house.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let them fly. Let them fly, baby.
Yo.
How's it going, brother? How's it going?
Well, before Armageddon has fully got into motion, I would say I'm pretty good, provided the circumstances. Yourself?
Brett was asking me how I've been doing, but
Yeah.
more or less, yeah, I've been doing good, brother. I've been doing good. Obviously, we took a little hiatus from recording a pod, so it's always going to take a little break. But yeah, man, we're back here at again. I'm doing phenomenal. I'm just here and living, bro. Blessed,
Living. Yeah. Are you ready for the
living.
Armageddon? You ready?
The Armageddon. So, man, let's just jump right into it. Oh, well, nonetheless, first of all, I want to welcome all the new viewers and listeners. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. Join our little family that we're starting over here, our little community. If
Yes,
you haven't
sir.
subbed to our YouTube page, definitely do so. If you want to make it easier yourself, we're on IG. As you can tell below, it's written as it says right there. Go follow us on Instagram. You'll find all the goodies there. But again, I just want to welcome all the new listeners and viewers. So welcome. But
Yes.
Armageddon, brother. Let's jump right in. Let's I don't know if it's tinfoil hat time or whatever, but let's just jump right into the hole.
Yeah.
Am I ready for the Armageddon? I would say it's if something were to go down, I'm more than ready as what I think I am. So yes, I think I am.
Yeah.
But if it's depending what type, like full blown nuclear war, or what are we talking, like an asteroid hitting us? I mean, you tell me, brother. What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Well, that's the thing, right? You don't really quite know what it's going to be because you look at
Yeah.
I'm trying to get that post on X pulled up, but something about Deagle, which
Uh-oh.
in certain circles, they have
Okay.
to that website, and it shows that there is a massive decrease in population here in 2025, and I think it's like America goes down 200 million. 200
Holy moly.
million. Yeah, so they're just asking why, and nobody's answering. And I guess they're just saying, well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out.
Oh man. Well, I believe a while ago, Elon Musk said something in the realms how we're not reproducing as fast as we should be. I believe he brought it up before on how people are just not having kids or they're not starting families, either one, right? So, I mean, my first guess would be just the economy, the way things are, right? Everything's just so expensive. It's like, how much does one child run you from the time that they're born all the way till they're 18 to where they can flock their little wings and leave the bird's nest? You know what I'm saying? So, that could be my prediction on why maybe that's a possibility. But if it's a substantial number, right, where it's in the, like you said, millions,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe a little bit alarming there. There might be a red flag we're going to throw there and just be like, What's going on? Why
I,
is it that we're not reproducing at a fast rate or whatever?"
I think,
However,
yeah.
it's also a good thing because again, I'm an avid listener of podcasts. I've listened to Sean Ryan podcast. Shout out, kudos to Sean. But this gentleman was there talking about how there's like a number they set in place about how we don't want to reach I believe they said like 12 or 11 billion. We're currently sitting at 6 billion
No.
people on this planet.
Try
And that
adding
if
two
we
more
reach,
billion to that. We're at
yeah,
8 billion,
so
my man.
if we don't want to get to that point because that's where kind of issues arise. And that got me thinking, it's like if we've already reached at that number in a so X amount of time, right? I don't know, man. Maybe Mars doesn't sound too bad after all.
Well,
You know what I'm
basically, when
saying?
you
So
when you start adding, that amount of people, you
yeah,
where are we going to farm? All
yeah.
the
I
farmland will be
mean,
taken up by apartment complexes, and everybody will be on the dole.
everybody would have to start like their own communal, like what is it, farms or just gardens or whatever. Kind of taking it back to the old days. I think I've noticed a lot of people from just the inner circles that we've touched base with, outside of the pod, right? Where they're kind of starting to grow their own stuff, buying more local farm stuff, locally farmed, what is it, like eggs or whatever,
Hmm.
beef and all that stuff. So I mean, there is a slight shift, right? Getting away from these major owned like, what is it? The stuff that ends up like the produce that ends up in the major big stores and all that.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. It's like, but overall, water, all the resources are going to be diminished as more the population grows, right? It's just going to get more and more and more. We need a quicker turnaround time, I guess you could
Right.
say. So,
Well, the
yeah,
Georgia
it's crazy.
Guidestones, before they took them down under mysterious circumstances, it did call for a global population of 500. What was it? 500 million? Yeah, 500 million
Yeah,
at max. So
that's crazy. That's
Hunger Games
nothing.
population only.
Yeah, no, that's insane, man. So you were talking about this gentleman. You caught my interest, and I want obviously it's hard not to touch bases on this type of stuff outside the pod because there's so much stuff we ping pong back and forth where it's so interesting that as just people liking talking about this stuff outside the pod, we enjoy talking about it, and all that. But it's
Yeah.
also cool to share this stuff with the people that listen or watch our content, right? Sorry for the technical difficulties, people. We've hit some minor bumps. Again, we're just paranoid over here. It could be that they're trying to silence us we're trying to talk about, but we were talking about how this gentleman pretty much predicted the way that they were try to have an assassination attempt on our future President Trump, and possibly a second time they were going to try to assassinate him, or another attempt on his life. But Brett, talk to us a little bit about this. Like how did this come across your radar? How did you find out about this? I want to learn more about this.
Find out about what?
So far the gentleman that predicted how they were trying to assassinate Trump. He pretty
Oh.
much described it down to the T. So fill us in on that. Fill the lovely people
Well,
on that.
yeah, I will. And I'm gonna add a caveat to it.
Mhm.
But his name. So about 3 weeks prior to Trump getting assassinated,
Yep.
there was a guy who is online, and he goes. I'm looking for his name. I believe his name is Brandon Brandon Biggs. Um,
Okay.
and he claims to be a prophet, and so he basically he came out with the video 3 weeks prior to Trump's time in Butler, the assassination attempt, and he said, "I saw Trump standing in front of the crowd, and I saw a bullet whiz by his ear, and then I saw him hit the ground, and his eardrum burst, and then when he hit the ground, he prayed to God, and whatever." And so that was the initial thing, but and so ever since then, I think he had like 300 subscribers to his TikTok channel or whatever platform he's on. But I tend to look into these people a little bit more, and basically what he does, he has this game that he plays where he'll add more to the story later, to make it look like
Okay.
he had it down pat. And the other thing he does is he puts out a lot of different air quote prophecies out there. Oh, I saw this, I saw that. And then if something does happen that's remotely close, he will make follow-up videos to match it, to hone it in more, to make it sound like that he predicted this whole thing down to a science. So I wouldn't put a lot of weight onto it. It was interesting when I first saw it, so I shared it with you, but definitely no one I would encourage or recommend, especially Christian people who take that stuff a little bit more serious, to follow. I would definitely, for the Christians, the Bible does talk about false prophets coming out in the latter times in droves, and so this would be one person we would consider a false prophet. So, but
Okay.
it was pretty interesting with his prediction, though, that he did 3 weeks prior. If you look more into his videos, he has another prediction of a massive economy downturn. Massive. We're talking worse than the Great Depression. So he does predict that next. And I believe he says that's going to take place in August, if I'm not mistaken. but don't take my word for that.
Right.
Don't hold me to that.
Okay.
So
It's kind of,
uh, yeah,
the one thing that's crazy. You said 3 weeks before he called out what had happened, right?
yeah,
At that time, it was on a Sun, it was on a Saturday, right? It was on a Saturday at a rally, correct?
yep.
Just let's just go back to revisit
July 13th.
pretty much revisit what went down from both our ends, right? I remember that day. I believe went to work, came home, took a little power nap, woke up, and my feed on X was going insane.
Mm-hmm.
Assassination attempt on Trump. Trump has been shot. Still like okay, like, people were uploading pretty much almost the same thing. Different people were uploading different angles from like what they captured during the time because they were filming obviously him giving his speech when this had happened. And you were just seeing a bunch of people this is the lovely thing about the internet. And I would say this is a positive end about the internet. Real news in regards to what's happening at that moment, at that very exact time where people are uploading just what had happened, right? So
Mm.
it's good to get perspectives from different angles in regards to people just posting up like what they've seen or what what they just witnessed, right? And lo and behold, we got all this footage of just how it happened. And to me, I'm like, I just could not believe it. So immediately, my first sense was to hit you up. I called you once, ring, 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 didn't pick up. And my wife's and I told my wife, like, dang, they actually tried to kill Trump. And I told that to my wife. And she's like, no way. And we were both kind of just looking at the news and just kind of, what happened, just to find out more details and all that. And, man, like all the information pretty much just got out there that very exact same day. As time went on, we started figuring out more details, more key details about just everything, how what is it, his security wasn't on point like it should have been. A lot of people were actually saying like, hey, there's a shooter up, there's a guy climbing up a ladder here with a gun, pretty much bringing the attention to what was like this gentleman that got on top of the roof. So there's a lot of things, man. But going back to just the point, right, with this gentleman called it out, it's kind of like a one in a chance, like a one in of out of I don't know how many chances that he had called out almost exactly what had happened and how it happened, right? Three
Mm-hmm.
weeks before all this went down. So it's like, lucky guess. I don't know. But again, like you said, take his word for it and go look at his stuff if you're more curious, if you're more than interested to see what other stuff he's predicted. Because the video that you sent me, you're like, go to the 11 minute mark, and he was talking about how it was going to be a gal, right? Like a French, like something about a French hair
A blonde.
braid, something like blonde, describing the person that was going to try to do, have the second attempt to, what is it, take Trump out. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. Like, let's just say hypothetical, huge hypothetical. If he hit the nail on the head this time around, what would you think?
Well, just given that he's wrong,
Yeah.
I would, in just honest voice speaking, I would say he has the spirit of Satan in him. Because people
Oh
get their
man.
prophecies wrong that offer the
Yeah.
details. Those people, they do have some sort of gift, some sort of something in them, but it's
Yeah.
not given to them divinely. It is by other means. And so there are other portals and other paths in the spiritual realm that people can tap into, and it isn't always um, benign.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, time will tell, man. I mean, it's going to be very interesting what happens from here to November. But so let's talk about just everything that's kind of come out with this. I know we're kind of late to the dance in regards to talking about this topic on what had happened because we've took a little pause. We were doing our things the last week at the record, so we couldn't come together to do so. But here we are, just me and my boy Brett here. Um, just for the one thing that I can't wrap my head around is that, like I said, you're at a rally, right, where you would think there would be cops amongst cops, security, you name it. Like, especially if it's a former president, potentially a future president, you would think they would be covering all bases to make sure that this dude, like, nothing's gonna, target this dude, right? And you're
Yeah.
telling me this young guy, 20-year-old, right? He was a 20-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somehow manages to get on top of this roof, gets a good angle. People see him. Nobody says anything. Nobody questions anything. Takes not one but two shots at Trump, and obviously they lay him out. He's no longer here with us. He's
I think he
and
took eight shots at him.
yeah, yeah. So,
Ended up
but the
killing
fact that
one
they let this
person.
slide to that point, right, where he managed to take a couple shots, is insane to me. Like I just right off rip, like you're telling me that security wasn't that tight this day for some odd reason that for it to get that far. I don't know, man. Brett, tell me, like, am I crazy thinking that, or is it just like many other people are thinking the same thing?
Yeah, I think I think ever since then, the investigation that's come out, the alphabet agencies have been very tight-lipped. They haven't given any details whatsoever,
Yeah.
or the details that they give you, they aren't answering the questions we are asking, and
Mm.
it just there's too many JFK similarities going on, where who the Lee Harvey Oswald was captured, right? He was their supposedly their guy, and
The
then
scapegoat type deal.
their patsy is what you call him,
Yeah.
and and then all of a sudden Jack Ruby shows up and busts him in the gut, takes him down, and takes him out of the picture. So we cannot get any details. We can't prosecute. We can't investigate. We can't put him in through questioning. Nothing. So he's gone. He's out of the picture. And there's just JFK is just one of those things that even when Trump was in office the first time, he promised the voters, he promised Americans that he was going to release the JFK files. And then when he didn't release them, people asked him, they said, why didn't you release those files? And he said, well, you wouldn't either if you saw what I saw. So,
Whew.
and then all of a sudden he becomes the end. And just there's just too many suspicious circumstances going on right now that make this not look like what it is being announced, reported by the mainstream media. I think that independent journalists are getting more information. There's a lot of behind the scenes whistleblowers actually talking to other people. One person that I, if you want to know details on this, Dan Bongino on Rumble, he is an amazing, he worked in the Secret Service, so he knows these people directly, direct relationships with these people. He was talking about the now former Secret Service director, Kim Cheadle, and she was the head of the operation, and he won't say it out loud, but it's on everybody's mind, is it looked so sloppy that it looked intentionally sloppy. And that's what we think that this is we think that my theory on all this, and this is just take it with a grain of salt, is they found out that there was going to be this plot, right, by this young man, by Thomas Matthew Crooks. They saw that he wanted to do what he wanted to do, and so I think what they did is they let him. They just let him. They were like, hey, there's our guy. But then it's weird because then more information comes out, and there are digital devices that are placing him going to DC near the FBI headquarters. Then there's reports of him shooting at the same range that FBI shoots at.
Really?
Yeah. There's more to this story.
This is the first time I heard about that.
Yes.
Interesting. So they pinpoint Homeboy out at DC and at the firing ranges where FBI personnel practice shooting.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm no genius, but that to me is pretty alarming. If so you say, like, right, if that's really kind of what they leaked out, information about Homeboy being there,
There's so many
pinpointing
more
him out.
details. The morning of the rally, the Secret Service was supposed to give a morning briefing. They did not show up. They didn't even show up. And then the Secret Service detail that was given to Trump that day, for one, they denied drone services. They denied certain, a number of services to him. And then what they did is they took his what they call the A team, his traditional or normal detail, security detail, and they actually sent them to Jill Biden, who was in Pittsburgh that same night. And so they just deputized a bunch of U.S. Marshals, which, you know, they are law enforcement, but they are not trained for all these things. So then, yeah, and then they talk about the roof. Kim Cheadle said, "Why wasn't there anyone on the roof?" Or the people asking Kim Cheadle, "Why wasn't there anyone on the roof?" And then they said, "Well," she said, "Well, the roof was too sloped. There was too much of a slope on that roof." And then everybody immediately called BS on that because the roof that the other snipers were on were both more sloped than the roof that Thomas Matthew Crooks was on. So then later on, they say, well, the law enforcement said it was too hot that day. It was too hot to get on the roof. But yet they were in that very building. They were in the building that Thomas Matthews Crooks was on the top of. They were in the building.
Interesting.
Just
interesting.
So, Donald Trump said that he would declassify all of those papers that everybody is trying to keep silence, that our Secret Service and our FBI and our CIA are classifying. He's going to declassify all of that. That's what he says. But I think that you know, and it's weird because I wrote down what some of these articles said. The next day, they said MSNBC said Secret Service, Donald Trump safe after popping sounds heard at rally. The Boston Globe says Donald Trump was whisked off the stage at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania after loud noises. Whatever, what's that say? Oh, rang through crowd. USA Today, Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startles former president and crowd. CNBC, Trump rushed off stage by Secret Service at rally after loud cracking noises. CNN, Trump injured in incident at Pennsylvania rally. I mean, they all just were so dismissive of this whole situation. And then to make it more disgusting, Christopher Wray, who is the head of the FBI, I believe, he comes out earlier this past week and says, well, we don't know if Trump actually got hit with a bullet. We don't know. It hasn't been confirmed, even though Trump's doctor made it very clear he got hit with a bullet in his ear. We were a centimeter from catastrophe in this country. Hell would have broke loose if we would have lost our guy.
So it's so for one, and I want to bring up another thing that I've been hearing through the interwebs in regards to what is it? Thomas is his name, right? The kid that tried to pull this off.
Thomas Matthew Crooks.
They were saying that Homeboy was in a BlackRock commercial a few years back. Did you hear about that?
That, right? All kinds of weird stuff.
Dude,
all kinds of weird stuff.
There's a lot of stuff, man. Like you're saying, that are coming out. That's coming out of the woodwork. Especially what you told me about. You know, like I said, they pinpointed him out in D.C. and in the firing range where FBI gets. They train shooting. That's insane, man. I mean, there's a lot of questions coming out and about. Like I said, this is the beauty of the internet, where information comes out for the people to know, just like giving us a heads up, like, hey.
Well, it used to be,
there's smoke coming from this end. You know what I'm saying?
Back in the last election, or back when Jack Dorsey still owned Twitter, you couldn't put any of this stuff and expect to get anything because they were shutting it all down. Hunter laptop, which was found to be true, and the FBI knew it was true. Did you know that the FBI knew it was true before they told Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg and everybody on that owns social media platforms? They knew that it was confirmed true, but they knew that it was gonna wreak havoc on the election. So they lied. They told them, hey, you might hear some Russian disinformation regarding Hunter, a laptop, and Hunter Biden, something like that, something crazy. But they already had the laptop. They already had the details. They already had it validated, verified, everything. But they still went that. So that's why this level of corruption, I mean, they are going out of their way. The deep state is what we call them. The corrupt CIA, the corrupt FBI, the corrupt deep state in Washington, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, all those people. They are all playing some sort of role in all of this, where they are trying desperately to keep Donald Trump out of the White House. And why is that? They didn't ever go get like this with Nikki Haley. They didn't ever get like this with Mitt Romney. They didn't ever get like this with John McCain. They didn't get like this with George Bush. It's only Donald Trump. And why? That's what we have to ask. Why? Why Donald Trump? Why is he so different? Why was JFK so different?
So one other thing that I kind of want to ask you, do you think that, well, for one, have you just seen this amount of people that claim this was quote unquote staged?
That is highly offensive to Corey Mator, whatever his name is.
The firefighter?
The firefighter. Highly offensive. Highly offensive. I won't even entertain it. I won't even entertain that idea. It is disgusting that with all of the evidence that has been out, the reason why those people are using that type of thing is because they do not want Donald Trump in office, and they are using any and every angle you can. That is why you had Christopher Wray telling people, sowing doubt in the minds of the American voters that Donald Trump, we don't know if he actually got hit with a bullet, knowing damn well that he did. They know damn well he got hit with an AR-15 bullet going 3,000 feet per second. They know it. And they know that Corey is no longer here because of it, because of a bullet. Yeah. There was no stage.
That's insane.
The only stage it would be on their end, on their end.
Yeah, that to me, because that narrative is like getting pushed out there, right? Because it was obvious to me, like, just because you don't like homeboy, I mean, Trump, I'm talking about Trump, right? Even for me, like, I wouldn't want to wish death upon anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like that to me, I don't like to steer that way about people. It's like, but for people to say that didn't happen, again, yeah, it is offensive to the family of the gentleman that passed away, the firefighter. It's crazy to even think that you would, could you even imagine that someone's life got put, like, got taken away pretty much.
Yeah.
For that to happen, to be staged, there's no way. There's no way. Like, I would call BS on anybody saying that. It's like, nah, come on, man. Like, it happened. If you don't like Trump, I get that, but it's like, you can't just think about that. Like, that didn't happen. It was staged. Blah 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 blah. Nah, man.
If I even
it's crazy
hear that,
it's ludicrous, man.
I just shut it down. Like, dude, you are not smart enough to even be living right now. You are so dumb. You are dumb. You are R. You are absolutely R'd. And but no, I thought Trump handled it like a G, man. He handled it like a G. I just saw him coming out. He came into one of his rallies. I think I sent it to you. But he comes out
expected,
playing 50 Cent, Many Men.
Yeah.
Many men wish death upon me. And he just comes out looking all presidential. Dude, can you imagine Trump? He might be president number 48. We say that he's going to be the 47th president, but we haven't even gotten to all the crazy stuff going on with Joe Biden. The height differential between, before he got COVID and after he got COVID.
Oh, so dude,
let me finish my thought. Let me finish my thought. So what I'm saying is, you have someone that Trump, that they have tried to use lawfare against him. And so he has 34 felonies on his record that are false, that are all fake, and I'm pretty sure he can pardon himself from that when he gets in with the White House. He'll pardon himself. I hope he should. But they were trying to do that. They were trying to get him not to run. They were trying to get all these people in there. They were trying to get him out. they tried to impeach him when he was in office twice, and they tried to hold the January 6th, what they call an insurrection, which was a peaceful protest, that they had a lot of bad actor FBI in there to instigate the situation. And then they couldn't do any of that. So then all of a sudden they went with the nuclear option, right? They tried to take him out of the game. Somebody did. And he's making it through it all. So can you imagine he gets into office with all of that? Dude, history. We are living in history.
That's insane to think about. But you caught my interest when you said about Biden's height difference after COVID. I
Yeah.
saw that
Right?
swirling around the comparison of pictures from before he had COVID, right after I think he was stepping into the White House lawn or something like that, or he was in the White House or something like that with his wife. And people, they're gonna be detectives to pinpoint all this stuff out, and it got me thinking, like, yo, is this dude is something's really going on? Like, unless somehow they could edit the photos to make it look a certain way. I'm not gonna, definitely deny that, whatsoever. Anybody
Okay.
can do anything at this point. AI,
Yeah.
of course, but
Yeah.
yeah, that right there, like, dude's like 6 foot something in comparison to like, how tall is he
He's
really?
6
Like, I
foot.
don't know.
He's 6
He's six.
foot.
Okay,
6
so
foot even.
so he's somehow in that picture they were kind of like, what is it? Comparing
He was walking
before he had COVID
with Benjamin
to
Netanyahu,
after.
the Prime Minister of Israel, and he is also 6 foot. And yet Biden is 6 inches above Netanyahu. And I'm looking for the lifts. I'm looking for him to be in high heels. I'm looking for, I'm looking for all those things. Like, what could be the reason? And then they show the different faces, all of the different faces just within the last like couple months, maybe. And he's just got all sorts of different faces. So it's like, dude, are we being run by a stunt double right now? Are we being run by a body double? Like, is he alive? Is
that's what people say?
Alive?
That's what people say. Is he even alive?
We have to ask
just
the
someone
question.
putting a mask on, just pretending that he's still here with us. Like, and then also there was a, what is it? There was a speech that Kamala Harris was giving. I think it was when
So he
Biden
stepped
pretty
down.
much when he stepped down and pretty much said that he backed Harris to be Democratic Party runner for the president seat, but it was like an automated voice, and it just sounded
Yeah,
so
they were
like,
thinking it was 11 Labs.
I'm like, at least FaceTime, right? Show us that at least it's him,
Right.
like, for sure, 100%. But even that, it's like, who knows if it's real?
No,
Anybody
so-
can, like, they can mimic your voice to a T now, man.
And
Like
right
my
before
voice.
that, right? So so first of all, he gives this interview to George Stephanopoulos on ABC, and George Stephanopoulos, this was after the debate where he just got bodied. I mean, absolutely bodied. And he's like, so he's talking to the interviewer, and he's like, it was just a bad night, And so George Stephanopoulos says, hey, so what will it take you to get out of the game? Like, to, step down. And he's like,
Yeah.
if God Almighty tells me, Joe, you got to step down, then I'll get out. But he ain't coming down. I'm like, as soon as I heard that, as soon as you start messing with God and you start mocking God, especially in the eyes of the public. I saw it happen with Tupac too. He did the same thing. And
R.I.P. Pac.
Yeah, R.I.P. I love the guy, but he still mocked him. But I said, he's done. He is done. As soon as I heard him say that, and then not even a week later, he puts out this White House memo or something, some sort of presidential letter, and it didn't even have his normal signature on there. And that's when it started to sink in, not just to me, but the rest of the netizens, that he might not actually be alive. He might not actually be alive, and we might be there. And Kamala Harris doesn't, for whatever reason, is not taking the presidency. She should be the 47th president if he's not alive. Yeah. So we are still like, even to this day, I mean, even to this day, as of our
Yeah.
recording on the 27th of July, we have not really real confirmation. The last time we saw Joe Biden, he was 6 inches taller than Benjamin Netanyahu, and they're the same height. So I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Probably wearing super platforms or something, man. I don't know, but
He wasn't.
that's one thing
I
that
was
was
looking.
circulating on my feed. Yeah, that was one thing that was circulating on my feed. That like, how is it that he grew like X amount of inches ever since after he got COVID or something? Like, what
Yeah,
the
dude.
hell, dude?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I don't know, but
So
but
yeah,
yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting from here till November, bro. I just think it's you know, we expect, not only did we expect, right? It just wasn't looking too hot for Biden overall. I'm like, I don't think he's gonna make it another 4 years if he somehow did win, but there's no way. Like, I didn't see that happening. My perspective, my opinion, that's just me. But yeah, I mean, I'm just curious enough as much as many other people are waiting to see what's gonna happen when it comes to
I think they're
election
gonna
time.
pull Kamala out. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna take her out because she does not have it. She is not gonna
Okay.
win. Although, she did get a very important endorsement from the Obamas on a very
Anyone know?
staged phone call. That was a staged phone call. You could see her, supposed to be like, this candid moment, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at her, holding the phone up, and it's Michelle and whoever the guy is, her husband is Barack,
Barack.
and but she has this microphone. She has this mic, pinned to her chest. So it's just obviously staged, and it's just like no amount of effort that you put into this woman. I mean, this woman was, and the stuff that they are doing on the internet. So for one, she was the border czar. The Biden made her the border czar. It was all news that the media was reporting it, including her friends in the left-wing media. They were all reporting that she was the border czar. It was known. And now all of a sudden, because of this massive debacle, we have 13 million illegal immigrants in our country. It's just a failure at every level. It was just as bad of a failure as Butler, Pennsylvania security detail. And it's just this Biden administration couldn't do anything right. Or it was all intentional, right? He was the Trojan horse that was meant to dismantle our country from the inside. So that could be going on too. But she does not want that label border czar, and she was the border czar. The other thing she didn't want is she was in an interview, and she was ranked the most liberal senator in the United States in 2019. The most liberal. She did not want that. They scrubbed all of that. So, I mean, all the stuff, they are trying to make her appear as a moderate, and she is anything but. She also was defending Jesse Smollett through that MAGA hoax. How he, we had a bunch of MAGA people in downtown Chicago, of all places.
11 o'clock at Subway.
No, it was like 2 a.m. Yeah.
Oh, 2 a.m. at
Yeah,
Subway.
it was 2 a.m. It was frigid out, and they were just waiting for Jesse Smollett. So she got behind him. She was backing him up all the way. And then she was also for supporting the BLM protest, the bail, no bail for any of the people. There was $2.2 billion in total damage from the BLM protest. Most damage that you've ever done, and it impacted the inner urban communities the most. The worst. And she was out there on Twitter sending links to people who, hey, if you're getting arrested, click on this link. They will make sure that your bail is paid for, and you'll be right out on the street. You can break some more windows. You can throw more bricks. You can do whatever else you want. So, I mean, it was just crazy, the stuff that she was involved in, and is trying to distance herself from it. And the internet captures it all. The internet remembers everything. It doesn't let anything go into the memory hole. So,
Yeah. Yeah, they got receipts. I mean, they'll pull those receipts up and they'll remind people, you know what I'm saying? So again, another benefit of the internet and social media in those aspects, right? Where the paper trail shall come back to bite you if it may. So yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy in the politic games. You know, we'll see. We'll definitely keep you covered here on the podcast, of course, as time goes on. And we'll obviously try to give it a little twist here, you know, because obviously, you know, I like talking about it because it's interesting because it's definitely, you know, the talk of the town, obviously, with the assassination attempt of our, you know, future president here. But yeah, we'll keep you guys posted on everything that's going to come up here in regards to politics and just the presidential election and all that stuff. But
Yeah, yeah.
brother, I want to go into another article you had sent me, another topic piece that we've talked about this numerous times on the podcast, but obviously it's an update in regards to what they have found as of recent in regards to the so-called P Diddy affiliation in regards to the money they had found or evidence they had found in regards to Diddy putting up the money for the assassination of Tupac Shakur for $1 million. Now, this is very interesting only because this was all word of mouth at once upon a time. I would say this was talked about for a few years now. So this is from back in the days that this was just
I think
rumors.
since
Rumors were swirling
1998.
that there was rumors since 1998 that P Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever you want to call him, had put up 1 mil for I believe at the time Keefe D for whoever, right? Whoever he was going to
Yep.
get 1 mil to take out Tupac during the height of the East and West Coast beef.
It was the South Side
Fast
Strip.
forward
Yeah.
2024, right? My boy here, he sent, I saw this before, but I just didn't know if it was a legitimate article, you know, because obviously you got to do your due diligence to make sure that some of this stuff is valid, right?
Right.
So you sent me an article, I think it was an MSNBC article or something like that, but it was like a legitimate source that they said they found evidence that Puff Daddy surely did put up that money that he gave to Zip. Zip somehow, I guess, to kept the money for himself. Who knows where that money went?
Yeah.
I heard another rumor that I think he spent it on a nightclub. He bought a
Yeah.
nightclub, and that's where the money went.
Yep.
Something like that in those words. But more of the story, people. If this is true, so what it seems, bro, Dunzo, homeboy's
Oh
done.
yeah.
Everything that they pointed out to be just from you wouldn't see homeboy dancing in the videos being the so-called mega executive bad boy CEO, all this stuff. I'll be real, he played a part in my childhood growing up too as well, with all the music that he released from back then, Puff Daddy, P Diddy, you know Sean John, fucking, I had a couple of his streetwear back in the days, all that. But it's like, for what it is now, man, oh dude, you think you think people are gonna rock with him now?
No,
Hell
dude.
no. Especially after that Cassie incident too. This is kind of like the cherry on top, bro. Like
Yep.
this, it's insane to think now, really, to really finally be released that Gene Deal talked about this. His former head of security had talked about this. Pretty much cementing this stuff from being true. But to say that you wanted Homeboy to be gone and taken out of the game so bad that you wanted to put 1 mil and put your number one artist in death's way at the time and the height when you knew what was going to happen and what they warned you, bro. Insane. Like, to me, like, it comes full circle when you talk about that. And I'm passionate about it because to me, Tupac's top five, top three, easy for me. The
Right.
dude, till this day, his music is playing in my car, through my headphones, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think that this could have been all prevented, right?
Yeah.
But they pushed that narrative. The media wanted to push this thing. It was East versus West, West versus East. But then you have these guys like, Homeboy over here putting up money for it to really go down and just say, hey, just take him out.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like,
Well,
really, when it boils down to it, it's like, man, I mean, I want to cuss so bad, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying to work on my cussing because we definitely want to hit the algorithm on the YouTube, in the YouTube, what is it, sector. So I definitely want to steer away from cussing, but I definitely, there will be F words flying right now. I'll tell you that. But it's crazy, bro.
yeah.
You really, that really just like, the game could be so scummy like in that aspect, right? Where
Oh yeah, it's dirty.
you almost feel bad for Big too. Like the more I think about it and analyze this stuff from afar, it's like you almost feel bad for Big because I'm sure in his heart, like he really wanted to do the right thing and make amends with Tupac at the time, but he wanted to do his own thing. He didn't want to be with Puff no more.
Yeah,
The rumor was, I mean, I think it was actually what is it clarified that he wanted to go to Rockefeller at one point and be like, be with Damon Dash and Biggs and all that. So it's like you can only imagine how things would have played out. Maybe, dude. I mean, would have Pac been here? Would they both been here? But no, it's
I
like they
think
both had to follow suit.
if they could have got Suge out of the equation,
Yeah.
Sean Combs out of the equation, and they just sat there just mano a mano, I think they could have figured it out. I think
Yeah.
they could have sorted out the details themselves and figured it out. Because Tupac and Nas figured it out.
Yeah.
They talked to
Oh,
each other.
Jay and Nas,
Huh?
Jay and Nas, or Tupac and Nas. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Right. No, you're right. You're right. My bad. My bad. My bad. You're right. You're right. Tupac and Nas, they did it. They did it. They did. They squabbled that out, and they're like,
The
nah, it's
plan
not
was
about that.
to take Nas's name out of the Machiavelli album, but when
Yeah.
Tupac passed, they ended up keeping it in there, I believe, but against Tupac's wishes.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that they could have figured it out. But it's just this is why it's so important to if you got people in your circle that are deliberately throwing you into the fire, the only person that should have someone in there pushing you to getting altercations, getting situations is a boxing promoter, right? That is
Yeah.
the only
Mhm.
person that should be getting you into any altercation with another person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all this other stuff, it's crazy. Just to switch it up and make it a little bit more on the funny end, we've talked
Okay. All
about
right.
Drake before, right?
Okay.
Did you happen to see anything about Limp Bizkit or Fred Durst was in Toronto, I believe last
Yep.
night. Did you see this?
Nice. I think I know what you're talking about, but fill me in. I want to
So,
see if we're on the same page on
so,
this.
so he, Fred Durst is talking to the crowd in Toronto. He's putting on a show, and and they're vibing it, right? They're vibing and they're having a good time. And he's like, "Hey, what do you guys think about Drake?" And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Boo, boo!"
Really?
They just hate him. And
Hmm.
so all of a sudden, he's like, "Well, okay, well, I'm gonna bring him out anyway." So he brings Drake out, and everybody's like, "Boo!" And then they
Really? In Toronto?
F Drake, F Drake in Toronto, right? Home court. He's getting booed by the whole crowd. So yeah, so then he's like, "Well, I didn't know you guys thought, but I didn't know he wasn't your homie, but he's my homie."
What the? I did see something about like he brought out Drake. The title was he brought out Drake and Vancouver crowd booed him.
Yeah, big time.
And
Time.
that's pretty much what I like all I read on that. But I did see kind of the snippets of the video and all that, how he was talking about bringing him out. But obviously, yeah, like it's surprising to me. I mean, I would think that Vancouver would have his back. Are we talking about Vancouver close to by where we're at, right?
No, we're talking about
No.
his his home, British Columbia, Vancouver.
Okay, 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 okay.
I
Okay,
mean,
okay,
it
okay,
depends
okay.
on what Vancouver you're talking about. Vancouver in Washington or Vancouver in BC?
BC. Like I get confused.
Canada.
My bad. My bad. Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's still crazy though. Like it's crazy that we were talking about this before. Shout out to Samir too, man. We enjoyed having our
Yeah,
guests come through. We were talking
of
about
course.
this.
We love
He
Samir.
was siding with Drake, of course. That's his boy over there from the six.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about that, on that episode. Check it out if you haven't, But yeah, you would think that they would have his back in his home court, but obviously things didn't turn for the best for him, and they were booing. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. I actually
Uh,
I'm gonna have to
well,
text Samir that like, hey man, they didn't show
but
your love to your boy out
I
there.
went
What's going
into
on?
I went beyond X on this one. This one I went to Reddit and
Okay.
there was an article. There were a lot of people from Toronto. They would say, "Hey, Toronto here, we don't like him. We are tired of him." Apparently, he's like screwed a lot of people. He's burned a lot of bridges through the years, and so
Really?
he's done it in Toronto. And then some Houston people started coming out. They're like, "Yeah." He also tries to make Houston his second home, and we are getting tired of him down here too. So, you know,
Huh.
Yeah. So don't believe all the shiny lights in the music videos and all the all the extras he's hiring in his music videos. They are paid to make it look like they like him. But you make
Well,
it real where people aren't getting paid to like him. You're getting a different story.
and that's the thing, right? We kind of have to take account, and that's one thing that almost slipped away from me, like thinking about this whole thing, right? Because I really don't like bringing it up again, because I mean it's kind of one of those things where it's under the rug. It's we've moved past it for now, right? But I never realized this until I took a second to step back. But a lot of rappers that he's helped out, we're talking about Drake.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that a lot of them haven't come out to back him up. Like you would
Makes you
think there'd
wonder,
be
right?
like, and that's the first thing that kind of come to me. Like, 'cause if he's your boy, right? Like, it's just like me, like, or whoever, right? If they're riding with you, you guys are clicking, you'd have their back or whatever, unless for whatever reason something, and you're like, I'm gonna step back on this. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you
Yeah.
know something that people don't know, but it just surprised me that nobody had his back. All
Right.
the people that he claimed to, bring up or jump on their tracks or just put them up into those high charts when they drop their collabs,
Mm-hmm.
nobody came out to back him up.
Yeah.
Like, I would say only a select few, but it's like nobody really came out to defend him at the time when they were going back and forth. And what's funny is, like, in one of his songs, he puts out YG. He's a rapper from California, and they come to find out YG's over here with Kendrick. He's like, nah, man, I'm running with Kendrick on this one. Like, I don't know why you're bringing me into this. It's like,
Yeah.
or mention him in the song, right? But it's like he made it very clear that he was running with Kendrick for the West Coast. But it's stuff like that. But it's surprising to me. Like, it's surprising to me that to hear this, that he's already burned some bridges in Vancouver, BC, and also in Texas, because he is starting to come around more in Texas. I did see something about that. I think he bought a house over there or something like that. So I don't know, man. There might be something to it. I mean, the people will speak for it to be like, well, musically, that's a different turf. But if you're talking about a real person, like aside from like away from the limelight
Mm-hmm.
and being like a solid individual, this is a whole different territory. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to
Yeah.
compare a person for who they really are as outside of the, off camera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's like you've heard that he'll try to say some slick stuff and throw jabs at certain people like on these tracks, but doesn't want to call them out when it comes to it. But it's like it kind of fits that persona. Like, if he's really doing that type of stuff, it does fit that narrative to me. So I don't know. I mean, that's interesting though, bro. That's crazy. You went into that
He,
hole
he
and you
doesn't
found some stuff like that.
he doesn't strike me as an authentic person. He seems
Really?
like he lives
Mm.
a very fake life, and I think that everything that we see, there's just a lot of fakeness to it. So, and I think
Mm.
people know that, and I think that you see it. I think it's apparent. It's obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting, brother. Well, thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. But another thing, I say, I might have seen an article of this, and it blows my mind to think that, you know, it has to do with the ocean. The ocean's a vast
You're
body,
scared
a
of the
part of the
ocean.
earth that we've never, like, we still haven't reached the cusp of fully exploring the ocean, right?
Yeah.
But coming to find out, Brett, that in Brazil, or somewhere by Brazil, I'll have to pull my little notes. Actually, I want to get this correct. Sharks in Brazil test positive for surprising contaminant, cocaine.
Okay.
Cocaine has been detected in sharks for the first time, but scientists aren't sure of the impact. Sharks swimming off the coast of Brazil have something a little startling coursing through their systems: cocaine. The
Mm.
drug had never previously been found in wild sharks, but that doesn't mean these fish are unique. Scientists just hadn't previously tested any shark for coke. The effort was a slam dunk, with the 13 sharks that were examined all test positive for the drug in their muscles and liver, according to a
Right.
new study in the Science of the Total Environment. What this means for the sharks is an open question, say the study co-authors Enrico Mendes Sagioro and Rachel Ann Hauser Davis, and ex-toxicologist and biologist, respectively, at Brazil's Oswaldo Cruz Foundation. No one has ever studied the behavioral or psychological impacts of the cocaine in sharks, Hauser Davis says, but her ongoing research on environmental contamination in these apex predators suggests the notorious drug is only one of the animal's worries.
That's wild.
Dude, they're living it up over there in Brazil, man. Just being off coke and just swimming through the ocean. They must be
Well,
having a hell of a time,
you,
bro.
you
They're
know,
just living, you know what I'm
it
saying?
it
Why
just
make it more make it more interesting? Screw it. Just toss some coke, let them just be one with the sharks. Man, dude, I'm jealous, dude.
It makes me wonder if all these whales that have been knocking all these boats over, capsizing all these
Oh,
boats. I wonder what, if they are possibly could be also testing and reacting a little differently. You know, maybe they're getting a little rage in them, and they're just like,
they're
just
just so full
knocking
of
these
energy, bro.
boats
They just
over.
say, "Man, I'm just
You
off
know,
on right now. I'm
they're
off a
just
rip, man."
yeah, just
That
like
is crazy. You're referring to that video where it literally just flopped on this little boat.
oh yeah.
Where did this take place at?
I don't know, in the ocean.
Yeah. No shit. No, but I saw that video. I'm like, dude, imagine those people during like at that very moment, just see this body of a whale come up from the freaking depths and just slam into their precious little boat. Like, dude, that's one of my many fears. I'm sorry. Like, I fear the ocean. I've said it numerous times on this podcast. I fear the ocean.
I'm
And
trying.
to s-
Yeah, I'm
to
trying to
see
find
that,
out. Oh, it's New Ham.
nah, man.
Let's see, New Hampshire. It was New
Oh my
Hampshire.
word.
Yeah.
That is
Yep.
crazy. No,
Yep.
that's insane, bro. I saw that video. Like,
Or
yeah, that's too much right there.
yeah.
That that is too much, my friend. No, I
No.
don't know, man. I try to steer away from, like I said, from all that stuff. Even you see these videos of these like kayakers just out in the ocean and they just get bumped by like a couple whales just swimming by. I'm like, they don't call them killer whales for a reason. I'll just say that, man. Like I mean, you want to risk it, go for it. Be by all means,
I
It's
know.
insane, man. But yeah,
Well,
interesting. Like in Brazil, man. Like, what is it? Sharks off coke.
yeah.
Don't know why.
Did you happen to catch the Olympics opening ceremony?
Perfect, perfect. We'll end it off with this.
Yeah.
Okay. Disrespectful on all levels for sure, especially Christians, of course, from what I've seen. But one thing I know they try to like pretty much mimic was the Last Supper, of course. Correct me if I'm
Yep.
wrong, because I'm
Yep.
just going by off what I've seen so far. And they were talking about biblical text about was it in Genesis or the end of days where the seven horsemen would come down,
That's the
and
Book
they
of
were talking about the
Revelation.
seventh
No,
one in
it's the
particular,
fourth
right?
horseman. Fourth
Four horsemen,
horseman,
sorry, seven. I don't know why I'm thinking of seven. Horrible numbers. But the four horsemen, we're talking about the fourth one in particular, right?
which is
But
death.
there was a lot. I mean, a lot. I mean, especially homeboy showing his testicles. I mean, that's one thing, right? Like really?
Well,
But
what was
no,
even
hey,
worse? What was worse than that?
but they had kids on there, right?
The fact that
You
there
were
was a
you were saying
child
they
right
had
in
kids
front of
on
him.
there, children on there. It's like, but like the Olympics, like come on, people. Like if people were freaking out about what is it, Janet Jackson when she had her little
Yep,
malfunction, right?
Nipplegate.
That was just like, oh my god, how could they do that? Blah blah blah. But you let this stuff fly.
Yeah, we've got to destroy Justin Timberlake's career because of that.
Oh, dude, no, yeah, he's got to be taken out. No, get him out. No, but see, that's where to me it's so hypocritical, right? You have this type of stuff going on. It's like, can it be more obvious at this point, Brett? Can it be more obvious? That's
Yeah,
my
pretty.
question, right? Like how are you? How are they just letting these things kind of like we're throwing this in there, we're throwing that in there, like hey, let's just get this riled up, or like do they do this on purpose just so they can have people like us react to this and put it out there just so we can like have this be like a hot topic, which it already is. I mean, there's a bunch of people talking about it, but nonetheless, like how did that person that organized it think that this was going to be like a good thing or something to be talked about in a positive way.
The,
Like what
the
are
guy who
like where is the
organized it,
positive from this?
the guy who organized his name is Thomas Jolly,
Okay.
who is
Thomas Jolly.
from the gay community, and
Mm.
there's more to him, but
There's one.
I'll stay quiet.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, it's weird because it was intentionally inflammatory, and his whole comment on it was, "Oh, we want to show the world, we want to show the world that how inclusive we want to be," and it was just wild because there was like literally no, there was nothing inclusive about it, and here's the thing. So I mean, you were talking about the Last Supper, the fourth horseman. There was more to it. They
okay.
showed other biblical references that they were mocking was the golden calf. They
Okay.
showed that. They also showed and whatever. What else? There was something else. Oh, there was a it's the 33rd Olympics. So if you're into Freemasonry and looking at the occult and all that kind of stuff, 33 is a massive number for secret societies for the Freemasons, which are a satanic, rumored to be a satanic secretive group. But and then they were. Snoop Dogg was there. He had the Baphomet chain. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I
he was wearing that. We
too.
knew that he sold his soul to the devil in '93 when he wrote when he did Murder Was the Case. When he does a song, in the song he's selling his soul to the devil. So we already knew that he was a part of the Klan. And this is just one of many performances that have, we've seen this satanic demonic element out of Hollywood coming out for a few years now. And so I think that in this, they just felt comfortable enough to bring it mainstream on a global level. And it was amazing what happened, because, and also another thing, I don't know if you noticed, if you saw the animation where they showed an air balloon flying up. It was an animation of an air balloon and a satellite going over, and it was flying over the Statue of Liberty, but the Statue of Liberty was all, pretty much like battered and bruised. It just showed it in dire shape. And did you happen to see that one?
I did not know.
Yeah,
No.
so that was another part of it. But and then they were doing all sorts of dances where, like they had one display where they were like, they had a bunch of kids in there. That's the weird thing, right? They're including kids in all these like very non-innocent things, and that's what we want as parents, is we want to preserve our children's innocence as long as we can, right? And then we see them in these dark performances where all of a sudden the kids are being chased by these people in masks, and then all of a sudden everybody dies suddenly. I mean, it's just so dark and so sinister. And so what was interesting though, so it was just an obviously, and then the girl that was supposed to depict Jesus was this obese, she's a lesbian, so she's part of the gay community. And, but, and then I read on her, she's like she's a fat advocate, she wants to make everybody be happy with her being fat, which is really weird being in the Olympics where everybody works very hard to get their bodies dialed in, and then they have this obese whale, depicting Jesus, it was just wild.
Oh,
it was wild seeing that, which, hey, nothing against obese whales, just, stay in your lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Not the consequences too. I mean, there are consequences to being at that level. I'm just
Well,
saying.
and we'll get to the
at one point,
consequences. We'll get to the
USA was the
consequences.
#1 spot for the highest obesity rate. Am I wrong or not?
Yeah. So I guarantee you 0% of Olympians in Paris, France right now are obese. And even, I would say even 10% body fat, 0%. Yeah. So there's that.
That's crazy.
Anyway,
bro.
so then the backlash, it was weird because, everybody, I mean, the backlash was immediate, right? So, everybody was going on X. They were sharing the official NBC. It was on NBC. They were sharing the official video saying, hey, look, this man's family jewels are hanging outside of his underwear and he's standing right behind this little girl, and everybody was just completely disgusted. They were appalled, offended, and all that. And one thing, I'm reading the comments, of course, and there was a lot of atheists that were offended by it, a lot of Muslims. Now, a lot of people may not know this about Muslims and Islam, but Jesus also plays a big figure in their religion as well. He is a prophet, and they don't believe he was the Messiah, but they do believe he's a prophet, and so they hold him in high regard in their religion as well. So there were a lot of Muslims that came out and said, this is the worst. And it was voted by the people the worst performance ever by the Olympics. So these people, everybody's sharing. All of a sudden, everybody's waking up with what's that called? DCMA strikes.
Yeah.
They are all getting hit with all these copyright strikes on X. And they were like, what? This is fair use. Why are we getting a strike? I got a hard strike on my X account and I have to delete the video in order to unlock my account. So people woke up with their accounts locked. They had to go through all that. And then NBC took down the video off of their, talk about humiliation, right? Talk about missing the mark. And they took down the video so it can no longer be seen. And then I went into all of the articles, and all of the mainstream articles by, like, New York Post or New York Times, all of the main papers, that when you're Googling the news, and nobody brought it up. I mean, it was just a blip. They were like, oh yeah, they had, whoever the fat lady was, they said her name, and they said they had her, and that's all they said. They just said, oh, they had her at a table DJing. No, she was playing Jesus at depicting the Last Supper. It was just crazy. So they were just really glossing over it, and they were instantly trying to hide, and they were clearly instructed not to talk about this in any way, shape, or form. And so there was, people in the community, in the Christian community, that said, whoa. They were posting, a lot of people had posted this scripture out of Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever a man sows, that man will reap also. So all of this stuff happens right before we get on the air. We start recording again. We are getting bombarded with news that Paris is out of power. Someone has knocked the power out of Paris. The town, there are several districts completely out of power. And so they're thinking it has something to do with the sabotage and all that. But it's just God will not be mocked. God is not mocked, and the whole world rallied behind this, and it's so funny because when they were doing the Olympics in Brazil, there was a man who put Christ the Redeemer. You know how they have the statue up over waters. Yep. He put that image on his surfboard, and the Olympic Committee told him, absolutely not. No politics, no religion, nothing that's going to offend people. This is a sports thing, and a sports thing only. We are coming together as a world. So pretty wild.
But for this, hey, let it ride. Do whatever you want. Hey, unity, all this, whatever your reason is, whatever.
Well, it was only
the guy.
It was only Christianity that they were attacking. They weren't mocking Islam directly. Yeah. Indirectly they did by with Jesus, but they weren't directly them. They weren't knocking Judaism. They weren't knocking any other religion. It was strictly Christianity, and the world, the 2.4 billion Christians and then some spoke, and they heard it loud and clear. So
yeah, that's insane, man. That's insane. Nah. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like I said, at this point, can it get more obvious? I don't know. Like, it doesn't surprise me at this point, but people will call it out for what it is, man. Hey, like I said, with everybody calling out the same thing, it's like we're on the same page on it. So, I don't know. It's crazy to me, bro. It's crazy to me.
It just, it gave me Sodom and Gomorrah vibes. It gave me Hunger Games vibes, where it seemed like, they are so far, these elites are so far out of touch, right? They're like, oh yeah, we'll do this. This will be entertaining. And then, but the people, they don't listen to us at all. They just see us as useless eaters. And oh yeah, well, they're just gonna absorb all this stuff. They're gonna give us likes and clicks and buy our Netflix services and buy our subscriptions and this and that. And all of us are like, no. How about no?
Yeah, man. No, hey, at the end of the day, it's good to see that people we do stand on some certain things like this, right? This is an example. Like, hey, we all agreed on this one thing, and it's like if it takes it, if this were to happen more often on certain things, if it's like on the worldwide global scale to where we come together as a whole, as the human race, the possibilities are endless, my friend. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
wow, right?
Yeah, man. But other than that, brother, I mean, anything else you want to throw here in the middle on the table on a lovely, as you can see, a lovely table here that we have for Grand Oak, freshly made from the Pacific Northwest trees.
I think we're all good. Of course, we miss Bradley, but it's always good to get some time off and away and doing
Yeah, for
that
sure.
important stuff and that you need to do.
Definitely.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. I think we figured it out. I
Yeah,
think
we did. We did. We're good.
yeah.
We're again, our paranoia is through the roof right now, people. We're just trying to keep up a composure because we've talked about this on previous episodes that they don't want this stuff to go out for some reason. Coincidence? I don't know, but it's crazy. That's all I got to
Yeah.
say. All right, but I definitely want to give another shout out to Samir for coming through. If you haven't checked out the episode, definitely go do so. Very awesome episode. We talked about AI and how it's going to be implemented into what is it the house market on what he's doing. He's also offering a free class in regards to that. He can explain it better than I can, but go check that episode out. There's all his links are provided down in the description below. Very informative and
Yep.
very awesome episode. We'll definitely have to have him back here on the pod to talk a little bit more about boxing, since he's really involved in that world itself. I'm a boxing fan. Brett's a boxing fan. I know Brad is too. So that will definitely be a very awesome episode to record here in the future. But of course, if you want to follow us on our socials, we're really mainly on Instagram down below, Beyond Expedition Podcast. You'll find all the latest and greatest stuff in regards to the pod, reels, updates on just the podcast in general when we're dropping new episodes, all that stuff, right? And also, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, all the major streaming platforms. We are everywhere. Just search up Beyond Expedition Podcast. You'll have no problem finding us on Google's. It should give you direct access to where we're available everywhere.
We're doing nothing
We're
but
worldwide,
growing, and we'll
baby.
keep on going.
Oh no, we're growing, baby. We're good. Yeah, and thanks to all the people listening to us from different countries. It still blows my mind that people from different countries are listening to us, and it's like exciting, right? Because as they stick with us longer, they'll get to just get to know us better as people, but also overall just hear us add our twist to certain things we talk about with what's going on in this crazy world. We're just part of it. We're just a little speck of sand in this huge beach. But hey, we try to make it
And
interesting,
we're
with
not afraid to
whatever
say
we
it.
talked about.
We're not
Yeah.
afraid to say what all of your coworkers are afraid to say. We're we're
Yeah.
we're off the
To an
clock.
extent for right now. There'll be a day where hopefully, we'll be a little bit more flagrant and more out there where we're gonna let this thing fly to the utmost. And trust me, it will be sweet when it gets to that point. But for
It'll be
now,
beautiful.
we'll have a little limiter, a little limit scale to where we can go. But hey,
Yeah.
we'll push the feathers if we have to a little bit more. But yeah, till then, we'll see what happens. All right, people. So when this drops, hopefully you're having a fantastic day. And also check out our previous past content. Like I said, follow us on our one social that we're on. We're mainly on Instagram. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next episode. So have an awesome day when this releases. Take care. Till next time. Peace.
Peace.